Welcome back. We've come to the back end of our show, but before we proceed, let's pay some bills. This hour of news and views is sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities for over 35 years in Africa and beyond. We all had, the terrible news of what happened at the Naazim refugee camp. It was hailed a great Israeli success, but it was in fact a bloody ambush that turned into a massacre of nearly 300 displaced people. And this is, what has been happening in Gaza lately and in Palestine. And this has forced, solidarity groups all across the world to, continue taking action, to take further strong stances on, the current ongoing genocide on the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza by the Israeli occupying forces. And there's going to be a big protest that you need to be a part of. This is organized by the Palestine Solidarity Network, and joining us right now is Naazim Adam, and he'll be giving us more information on this. Assalamu alaikum, Naazim. Jazakallah so much for giving us your time and joining us on Salam Media.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good to be with you again.
South Africa just come out of the elections. One can say for the longest time we have been a bit sidetracked in keeping focus on what's happening in Gaza and what's happening in Palestine. But what happened at the Naazim refugee camp is one thing that needs a lot of attention. For those that don't know yet, can you just shed a bit of light on what happened there a few days ago?
So on Saturday, the 8th of June, Israeli and American forces disguised as Palestinians, displaced refugees, dressed like them, loaded vans that looked like the refugees with mattresses and all their belongings. And they went into Nusayrat. They probably had intelligence that they were some of the Israeli operatives that were captured on October 7th that were being held in the refugee camp. When they got there, they were obviously exposed, and a major gun battle ensued, and then they just massacred with bombs and missiles the entire area around where they were operating. They came out of that ambush saying that they were successful in releasing 4 hostages. Of that, we know that some of them were IDF soldiers, so they're actually prisoners of war, and celebrated that. But what we know, what unfolded there was just another catastrophe, a nightmare of destruction. I'm just going to read one extract from an interview done with Mondowies with Tawfiq Abu Yusuf. He's an 11-year-old, and he describes that before our house was bombed, we saw people in the streets across from our house on the ground cut up. We saw missiles hitting the people fleeing in the streets, how they cut them off, and how the planes bombed everything moving in the streets, cars and people. The street was full of people, and suddenly all of them, they were on the ground, and smoke and blood filled the place. So in a very short period of time, over 250 Palestinian civilians were killed, over 600 were injured. We know that the hospitals can bandage, and they were taken there, just horrific scenes of people cut in half, total blood and gore. The inhumanity, the cruelty, and the cold-heartedness was clearly evidenced. But what is significant here also is that what we knew all along is that the Americans are active on the ground, and therefore they are complicit in the genocide. They are active in the genocide that is unfolding, and they must be held accountable. They have crossed the red line, and we need to take our struggle to the empire, to the Americans, for their contribution to this absolute devastation and catastrophe that is unfolding in Gaza. Nusayrat is one of many incidents, but it's one of the most horrific ones. We know we didn't get to see and hear what happened at Shifa Hospital, but we know that after the aftermath was thousands of people's graves. We saw some footage of bodies being removed. We're seeing more and more evidence of civilians being who have been arrested, strip searched, tortured, including children, and some of them returning with just the most horrific wounds, being amputated from the incarceration. So there is a intensification of the repression and aggression that is unfolding. And to say that it was just like this moment when we, in the solidarity, and I think any person that has a heart or feeling, just feels that what do we do? How do we stop this this worst atrocity that we've seen? And it comes at a time when we commemorate June 16, and we know that the height of the apartheid repression unfolded after June 16, 1976, but it was also the end of apartheid. So this kind of heightened aggression and repression is going to lead to the end of the Israeli project, the Zionist project, and will ultimately, the resistance and the resilience will bring us to a better world where Palestine is free and its people are free to move and live where they originate from.
You know, you speak of that intensification of the aggression, and I think the only response to that would be the intensification of solidarity with the people of Palestine. And PSA has one protest organized. Give us more information about what you guys have coined the red line against the genocide protest.
So we know that South Africa, there's uncertainty and there's some trepidation around how things may unfold with the coalition or the government of national unity. But we are reaffirming that we remain committed to the liberation of Palestine and for justice and for humanity, and also to hold accountable those guilty of the acts of genocide, the war crimes, and the crimes against humanity. So with that, we have, together with over a dozen different organizations and the trade unions and religious groups and solidarity and human rights organizations, we are convening a red line protest on Saturday. We know it's the day before Eid. It's in Makkah. It's the day of Arafat. So very significant day for us for prayer and for action, because prayer and action need to go together. And we are thus calling on all our supporters, all those people who care and feel, who need to come together to raise our voices in protest against the genocide. We know that the Americans are now just exposed for all of the hypocrisy, and that they cannot be trusted as honest brokers in this attempts at a ceasefire. So we are calling for a red line protest. We have quite creative people with us, so there's a lot of art posters. There's a red ribbon that we're going to tie around the American consulate. We need people to come. We need people who are good with social media to capture the moment, to join us. We need Salam Media and all the media to be there. And inshallah, we will send a very strong message. The Palestinian people in particular, but the solidarity activists across the globe, they look to South Africa for our strength and our commitment, because they recognize, like we do, that our history is the Palestinian reality, and that, like Mandela said, South Africa cannot be truly free until Palestine is free. I think that applies for humanity, that we can, as humanity, not be free until there is justice in every part of the globe. And that's what we need to strive for, whether it's Palestine, Sudan, and so forth. The moment now is for Palestine, and that's what we're going to do on the 15th of June, Saturday. It's just a 2.5 hour protest. It starts at 1:30, and it will be outside the U.S. Consulate, Santon Drive. We're asking everyone to come through to join us, and we'll see from there.
And I think what really pops out for me, one of the demands of this protest, is the issue of sanctions. Coupled with sanctions, for the Israeli government and the Americans, is also what normal people can do. The issue of boycotting products. Do you think the South Africans understand, just how important, boycotting certain products is when it comes to, liberating the people of Palestine? Because I think sometimes, we just look at it as, a product is a product. I'm just going to go to the market, buy it. It won't make much of a difference. But on a grander scale, the sort of impact that, boycotts of that nature have. If you can elaborate on that a bit.
So I think for our strongest tool in the solidarity movement is BDS, it's boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. We spend a lot of time on boycotts, and we've seen the impact on that. The idea is to challenge the Zionist economy and to break its backbone in terms of those who support it financially, because we know that the missiles and the bombs and the armies, they need finance. So we've continued with that. The truth is, Alero, that we have to educate people. We have to conscientize people about why they need to do it. There needs to be an understanding of the boycotts and how it impacts. But we also need to get workers on board. We need workers to come forward and say, we're not going to handle goods that is meant to go to Israel, or goods that's coming back from Israel. So we have a strong block the boat campaign that we're working on. We are engaging with trade unions around coal, and not handling coal that is going to Israel. Colombia has just stopped, or they are sanctioning. They are not sending their coal. They were the biggest supplier of coal to Israel. They're no longer doing that. We are the third largest supplier of coal to Israel. So as a South African government, we will continue lobbying them, irrespective of who's in power, to impose sanctions against apartheid Israel, especially when it comes to the commodities that we are exporting to Israel, like coal, like diamonds, and so forth. So that sanctions part is what we need to intensify now, and that is the call that we are making. We are saying that there's good work that was done by Minister Pando and the ANC government at the ICJ and the ICC, and obviously that is now, the ball is rolling, and we'll see what comes out of that. Because there are supporting parties and countries to that application. We now need to say, how do we put our money where our mouth is, literally, and say that our exports to Israel needs to be sanctioned. And at the same time, we in the Solidarity must not take for granted that people will just follow our call. We have to mobilize, educate, activate as activists, and agitate for greater solidarity and greater, more stronger BDS movement.
No, definitely. Unfortunately, I've run out of time there, but I will definitely be sharing those details of the Red Line Against Genocide protest. Jazakallah so much for giving us your time, and really, really appreciate it.
Shukran. Afwan. Salam.
Walaikum salam. There you have it there. Naazim Adam from the Palestine Solidarity Network. If you are in and around Johannesburg on Saturday, the 15th of June, join the protest. The Red Line Against Genocide protest is going to be taking place at the U.S. Consulate at 1 Sandton Drive. This is from 1 p.m. right until 4 p.m. And you need to wear something red. The U.S. Has shown that they are actively involved in the ground in Palestine, and they have boots in the ground. They have soldiers who are also participating actively in the perpetuation of this genocide against the people of Palestine. You can have a say in all of this. Take your anger, take your frustrations, take your disdain to the U.S. Consulate. This is going to be on Saturday, the 15th of June, 2024. And this is going to be from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. And don't forget to wear something red to symbolize the blood of the Palestinians that was shed throughout this ongoing genocide. We've come to the end of our show. Really, really appreciate you invade your space for the last 2 hours. From myself, Salailo Makwidiri, my team, comprising of Xolani Abdusalam and also Nasreen Naidu, is goodbye for now. Don't forget, tomorrow, the sitting of Parliament, the first sitting of Parliament will be happening. I'll be out in Cape Town to give you the latest. So don't forget to keep your eyes and ears glued in onto Salam Media. It's goodbye for now.